Okay, hey, we're going to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have kind of part two of my Mitch Mason preview for the Maelstrom. You guys might remember I did a very early sneak peek quite a while before the actual campaign launched. This is a bit of a follow-up video closer to the campaign being launched, just to kind of freshen it up into your memories. This will be a little bit shorter and a little bit more to the point. But the good news is, by the time you're watching this, these watches are going to be a lot closer to launch, which is cool. Of course, Mitch Mason was established back in 2019. They're a newer Kickstarter brand releasing their second timepiece, which is the Maelstrom. Now, the Maelstrom is a dive watch. Some key common characteristics and design. When you're looking for a diver, you're going to want water resistance, typically through some type of screw down crown. You're going to want something that's tough, legible with a dive time bezel, and a diver's extension is always nice if on bracelets. Now, the Maelstrom is really just a contemporary interpretation of those vintage super compressor dive watches of yesteryear. And some differences between this prototype, which is, by the time you're watching this video, long gone, and the production units that will be released shortly, is there will be a shortened hour hand as well as brighter and more refined lume in terms of the application, and the date will also be loomed from that standpoint. So with all that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. All right, guys. As you can see, quite handsome. I really dig that blue, and then in terms of the tone here for the lume, it's definitely more of an ivory tone versus some of the more faux patina, very heavy mustard tones. So I dig this a little bit more ivory, kind of cooler color versus some of the really warm, I think overdone high contrast patina that you see. Now, when this does go live on Kickstarter in October of 2021, depending on you're watching this, it's going to start out at $449, and then eventually working its way up to retail at $599. This does have a 40 millimeter diameter case, a 12.5 millimeter thickness, and a 47 millimeter lug to lug width. It is made out of 316L stainless steel, and it's pretty much fully brushed with some really nice polishing accents on there that man, they really do pop. So I can absolutely appreciate the extra amount of effort that was put into the fit and finish of this timepiece, and I gotta say it's overall very impressive. The crystal itself is a double dome sapphire with 10 layers of inner AR coating, which is pretty cool. And of course, this is just a prototype, and the actual live unit, hopefully I'll have one in hand soon so I can check them out with you guys. But this one does pretty well, and you can see even at very harsh angles, still quite legible thanks to that double dome. Now, in terms of this bezel, it is an inner bidirectional rotating bezel. It's basically handled through the screw down crown. This is a prototype, so I don't really want to mess with that. Also, the action honestly wouldn't be too indicative of the actual production, as well as the fact that for something that's going to be kind of frictionless, there's not too much feedback to really derive anyway. The nice thing is you can see this really gorgeous case back there. Let me go ahead and open the clasp up. And you can see it's really quite nice and well executed, even for a prototype. So very nice and well done. Inside, behind that, really nice kind of deep stamped case back is your standard Miyota 9015 movement, and it's pretty sweet. And now, in terms of the details on the dial, it's of course a brushed blue sandwich dial, and it is very nice. It's more of a sunray, I guess you could say, than a brushed. But yeah, that's kind of this matte satiny finish, which I absolutely adore. The hands are polished, and it is using Swiss Superluminova that glows green. It has 20 millimeter lugs. It has quick release spring bars, if you didn't notice earlier. Here you go, wham bam. So those, you can do that toolless, which is nice. Also, it has drilled lugs, so that makes it extra versatile from that standpoint. Now, water resistance is going to be up to 300 meters, and it's going to have have a 20 millimeter lug width, and the bracelet's going to taper from 20 millimeters down to 16, and then you're going to have that nice milled locking clasp there, double locking push button action. So I think that's really great, and it does even offer some micro adjust holes. So with that said, let's go ahead, get this piece on wrist and see how it wears. Okay guys, as you can see on my 7¼ inch wrist, really well suited for it, very proportional, very handsome, and man, does this thing catch the light. Look at the way the light plays off of all those little micro bevels, and also how uniform it is as the light shines over those really nice brushed finishes, especially on that bracelet. So very handsome from that standpoint. You can see it wears really well. Nothing digs in. Everything is just very saucer-like and smooth. And then, of course, that beautiful taper action on the bracelet does help a whole lot. And then when we get up close, it can be a little bit distorted from the lens and look a little oversized, but you can see as I pull my arm away that you get a little bit more perspective in there, and it doesn't seem very big at all. So with that said, let's go ahead, get this piece off the wrist, get some low light transition and loom shots going for you to include some closing thoughts. All right, we'll go ahead and hit the lights here. As you can see, even the prototype glows quite well, but they did make a point to say that the loom will be much improved within the production model. Now, one thing I do like to get in is work in some low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you'll be coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, or just spending time within your favorite automobile. So it's nice to get a good idea of how these colors and textures and finishes render in less than optimal lighting, to include some very harsh lighting with some really high contrast to see how everything looks. But you can see the light glides beautifully off of those flat links. Really great and gorgeous. And then that blue dial does have a real nice tone and tint about it, quite magical, renders very dark typically, and then you get some light on it and it just lights up your day. So with that said, we'll get the lights back on, move into some closing thoughts. Guys, on the wrist, this wears really nicely. It naturally hits that 40 millimeter sports watch sweet spot, and I think it does it really well. In terms of model variants, this is the steel blue version as seen. There's also a Marimo green, as well as an aphotic black and an ocean gray, and I think the ocean gray would probably be my pick if I was going to be the one ordering this. But really, it's a handsome watch, and it's kind of hard to go wrong with any decision you make when it comes to this brand. Now, in terms of comparable models go, it's very competitive within that $500 to $600 range, especially for divers. So yeah, I think, you know, for me, I think the aesthetic and the story can actually be a really big draw within the space. So I think there'll be plenty of people that are fine paying what it costs, versus kind of being out there searching for discounts. For me, the bottom line is it's really great to see brands establishing their own personal design aesthetics and delivering well-spec'd and themed options to the enthusiast community. So with that, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.